ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are the another session of chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. I hope you all have a copy of Bhagavad Gita. It will be needed when we are discussing this chapter. I believe this is the third session on this chapter 9. And the acronym for this chapter that we had discussed is King, K-I-N-G. As such, in other words, it's like a subdivision of the chapter for us to remember easily. So, knowledge and inconceivable relationships we had discussed last time, and some part of verses from 11 to 15th. So, to give you a quick recap, the first section, knowledge, where K stands for knowledge, the verses 1 to 3 of this chapter of 9 is discussed. In this section, Krishna is telling Arjuna that I'm about to share the most confidential knowledge with you. And when we had this discussion on these verses, we had discussed about what is this most confidential knowledge. In second chapter, Krishna discussed the confidential knowledge, which was the knowledge about I am not the body but a spirit soul. Then later on, chapter 7, Krishna discussed another category of confidential knowledge, which was more confidential than the first one. And that confidential knowledge was about the opulences of the Lord, Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this chapter, Krishna says, I'm about to give you the most confidential knowledge. And the confidential knowledge is about the relationship between the Lord and the living entity, the nature of a jiva and his relationship with the Supreme Lord. So the knowledge that he is about to impart is the most confidential. However, with that, Krishna gives a condition and he says, the knowledge that I'm about to give you about the nature of the soul in relation to the Supreme Lord is state specific. The meaning of what state specific is, it comes with a prerequisite. And what is a prerequisite? You should be non-envious and faithful to understand it. This is the summary of the first three verses, in 2 lines, just to help you understand. And one of the discussions, I believe last time only, we had discussed about the nature of envy. I believe I had discussed 4 points. Anyone remember? What did we discuss about envy? What does envy means? What is the nature of envy? The very first thing that we spoke or discussed about the subject matter of envy is every living entity who is born in this material world is envious by default. That's the nature. Second thing that we talked about, the envy is somebody who's envious cannot tolerate others getting glorified. And the third thing that we spoke about on the subject matter of envy, somebody who is envious, his vision is covered over such a way that he cannot recognize the greatness and the qualities, good qualities in others. In other words, such a person is quite an obvious fault finder. And everything he finds some or other faults. That's the idea about it. And the fourth thing that we spoke about envy is there are 6 anarthas that Shastras talks about: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. And the last anartha, Matsarya, refers to envy, which means it's very difficult to overcome. is not easy. And then last time when we had discussed about it, we have talked also about how we can overcome envy. We had given some Vedic references, and the essence of those references was two things: association of saintly people and regular recitation and glorification of Vasudev. When we do so, then we rise above envy. And one very down to earth practical approach is to maintain a kind of a gratitude journal where you regularly express your gratitude for the people with whom you are living, people who are closely connected. Because the universal fact is, every living entity in this world has envy. And we also spoke about the nature of envy such we become envious of people who are closely connected to us, not of the people who are far off. And that's the reason it becomes very challenging to maintain a good relationship. So that was the context of discussion here. Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, I am giving this knowledge to you. And last time I had discussed, imagine if Krishna had to speak about this subject matter, which he's about to speak, to Duryodhana. If Krishna had to speak the secret of the nature of living entity and his relationship with the Supreme Lord, what would have happened to Duryodhana? And we had a discussion, and many of you said that Duryodhana would have never agreed. Not agreed, he would have become very angry. Because Duryodhana wanted to be the best of all. He wanted to be the supreme. And someone else tells him that you're not the supreme, you're insignificant, I am the supreme. Such a person is bound to become very upset about it. That's the reason Krishna selected Arjuna to give this knowledge. So what was the knowledge about? Yeah, in the lust is in that context. Kama is the foremost of the enemy that we need to deal when we are fighting, all enemies. And envy is the last and the fearful, the most difficult. In that particular section, third chapter, the last set of series of verses, the question that Arjuna had asked was in that context Krishna answered. And the question Arjuna asked, Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha. Can you switch on the lights? Atha kena prayuktoyam papam chariti purusha. He said, my dear Lord, by what one is impelled to commit sinful activities? In that context, Krishna said, Kama esha, Krodha esha. From a Kama comes anger. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. Like that. And then in the next section of verses 4 to 10, Krishna talks about the inconceivable relationships. His relationship with this material universe and the relationship with a living entity. And the idea of this knowledge is that this knowledge gives inconceivable का मतलब क्या हुआ? जो हमारे लॉजिक और कॉमन सेंस के परे हो. कंसीव का मतलब क्या होता है? समझ आना. इनकंसीव मतलब जिसको हम अपनी क्षमता से, अपनी बुद्धि से नहीं समझ सकते. And that was a set of discussion here. In this section, we had discussed about the creation, the Vedic model of creation. I hope all of you remember. And then we had discussed, also compare the Vedic model of creation in relation to Abrahamic faith, and also what is the scientific understanding of Vedic, scientific understanding of creation. So the main idea of this section of set of verses here was, the idea was to give an indication of the character, greatness, and the capacity of the Lord, and also to expose our inability to comprehend such matters through mundane logic and reason. Essence यही था कि आप भगवान को समझना चाहते हो तो आप अपने इंटेलिजेंस के बल पे नहीं समझ सकते. Ahead in this chapter only verse comes, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhakti Prachati Tat Aham Bhaktya Uparatam Ashnami Prayatatmana. Krishna says, although prior to that Krishna says, I am complete, I am not in need of anything. Yet in this verse Krishna says, I accept. Patra, leaves, Pushpa means flowers, Phala means fruits, Toya means water. I accept. Only accept in a condition when it is offered with love. Bhakti uparatam. And the last word of this verse, Ashnami prayatatmana. Prayatatmana means pure consciousness. Somebody once who offers anything to me, at least these four things, any of the four things, with love in pure consciousness, then I accept. It's not that Krishna is in need. And when we come to that verse, we'll talk about it. What Srila Prabhupada says is that by offering Krishna, we get benefited. Krishna is not in need because Krishna is complete in himself. So that was the beginning of this discussion here about how it's very difficult to understand Krishna. Only we can understand Krishna through hearing. And when this particular discussion ends, then comes a very important verse. This is 9th chapter, 10th verse. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sa characharam hetunanena kaunteya jagata viprivartate. Translation, please.
This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of me, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again.
So Krishna, to sum up the discussion, he concludes this particular discussion by saying, Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Adhyaksh, under my supervision, this divine energy, which is called prakriti, is functioning. I am the controller of this material energy. And everything is created and everything is annihilated under my supervision. Like that, Krishna proclaims that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Krishna says like this, Arjuna immediately have a doubt in his mind. And he says, my dear Lord, if you have understood, if you remember chapter 7, it's very similar. The flow of the discussion is identical to chapter 7. So here, Arjuna, after hearing this, he immediately asks a question, my dear Lord, well, if you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then why people don't believe you? Why people have doubts on you? It's just identical to what Arjuna had a doubt on Krishna in around 7.11 and 12 when Krishna said, I am Matha Parataram Nanya, 7.7, Kinchit Asti Dhananjaya. I am the cause of all causes. When that discussion ended, Arjuna said, my dear Lord, then why people don't recognize you? That place in the 7th chapter, Krishna said, Devi hi Esha, Devi Esha Mama Maya, Devi Esha Gunamaya, Mama Maya Duratya, Ma Mevaya Prapadante, Maya Metab Tarantre. Idea was Devi Esha Gunamaya. Every living entity is covered over by my divine energy. And that was a discussion of modes of material nature, which will happen in the 14th, 17th, and 18th chapter in details. And here, Krishna now begins to speak about, I would say, this is an important subject matter. Oftentimes we have this question in our mind, why there is so much diversity in the so-called Hinduism? There are so many gods. Like I've many times said, what is Hinduism means? Hinduism means within a single family, you can have one family member who worships Lord Shiva. You can have another family member who worships Durga. Third family member may worship, let's say, Vishnu. Fourth may worship no one, maybe an atheist. And you may believe that you are God, I am God, everyone is God. That is Hinduism. That is called diversity. That is called diversity. And now Krishna, in this section, we're going to talk about this diversity, where Krishna says different living entities, based on their motivations, put faith in different concepts of God. So the very first concept is what is called as Ekatvena. Ekatvena means you are God, I am God. We all are God. And Krishna says and speaks about such persons. And he says, I don't know if I have a verse here. Yeah, I have it. And he says, Avajananti ma mudha, 9th chapter, 11th verse. Manusham tanam ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhut maheshwaram. So Krishna says, because avajananti ma mudha, fools, mama mudha, mudha means fools, avajananti, they deride me. Why? Because manusham tanam ashrita, because I appear in a human form, they consider this, the personal form, my personal form, to be an elementary concept of God realization. They think, oh, why he has to be God? I am also God. Just like what was the issue with Shishupal for that reason. When Shishupal was born, when an astrologer was called, and then the astrologer said that this son of yours to whom you love the most, he was in relation to Krishna. And as Raja said, the son of, the mother, this son of yours to whom you love so dearly is going to be really an asuric character. Because love is blind, माने का कोई बात नहीं, बेटा तो मेरा है, बड़े होकर ये कैसा बनेगा, क्या करेगा, और उसको क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. So then astrologer or the sadhu said, or the sage said, well, he can do everything, but my request to you is just make sure he does not hit a century while criticizing Krishna. And that's the time Krishna comes over there and mother pleads to Krishna and so forth. Krishna says, okay, I'll forgive him 99 times. If, however, he criticized me 100th time, then I'll have to kill him. And it was declared that this person is born to be envious of Krishna. Just like sometimes we hanker that wish we could have that love. Similarly, he had that love in the negative extent. Deep love for Krishna. Sote jagte usko sirf Krishna nazar aata tha. He was so much envious, and we know of Rajasuya sacrifice at the assembly of Yudhishthira Maharaj, how he criticized. What was the problem of that envy? Duryodhan was envious. Danta Vakra, उसने तो सारे के सारे मूर्खता के जो सिद्धियां होती है वो प्राप्त करी हुई थी. He was so envious of Krishna that he pasted 2 additional hands. और 2 additional hand पे एक में चक्रा चिपकाया और एक में शंख चिपकाया, बोला मैं विष्णु हूं. And then he marched to Dwarka, and he went to Dwarka and said, ओ कृष्णा, तुम नारायण नहीं, नारायण मैं हूं. तुम लोगों का उल्लू बनाते हो. जो तुम्हारे हाथ में सुदर्शन चक्र है वो मेरा सुदर्शन चक्र है, मुझे वापस दो. Krishna said, so be it, जाओ. And he ordered sudarshan chakra. He went, did a surgery without free of cost, and he came back. And that's how Dantavakra died. What is the bottom line? Why Dantavakra had such an issue accepting Krishna, who Krishna is? Manusham tanum ashritaha. How can he claim to be a god? I am also God. And that is the subject matter which is discussed here in this particular verse. And then in the next verse, Krishna says, what happens to such living entities who so deeply envy me, and plus they consider themselves to be God? I am also the supreme. Krishna talks about it. I don't have the verse here. Go to the 9th chapter, 12th verse. Please read out the translation. This is just a recap. We have discussed this last time. Krishna says, such a living entity or such humans, they remain bewildered and they are attracted by the demoniac and atheistic views. You see that 12th verse? And we had given an example of the father of Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu. We had also discussed the case study of Haridas Thakur and the Muslim king there who had ordered to punish Haridas Thakur and so forth. I can't repeat all that, it'll take time. Then question arises, my dear Lord, then what happens with the devotees? And comes to very 2 nice, beautiful verses, text number 13 and 14th. Text number 13, we can recite together. Mahatmanas tumam partha Daivam prakritim ashritaha Bhajanti ananaya manaso Jnanatva bhutadim avyayam. Krishna says such devotees are Mahatmas. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha. And they're protected by my internal energy. So we had discussed last time about the internal energy, Antaranga Shakti and Bhahiranga Shakti. Antaranga Shakti is represented by Srimati Radharani. And all these personalities, those who serve Krishna, how? Bhajanti ananaya manaso. With one pointed attention, they constantly serve Krishna. Such living entities or humans are always protected by the Supreme Lord. And what are their activities? Text number 14. Satatam kirtayanto yang yatantascha dhradvrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. What are their activities? Satatam means always. What are they doing always? Kirtayanto. They are singing my glories. Yatantas cha dhridvrataha. Dhridvrata means with determination they follow all the rules and regulations. Namasyantas chamam bhaktya, they offer their humble respects. Nitya yukta upasate, like that, they're eternally engaged in serving me. And in this, to elaborate this particular verse, we discuss the examples of Prahlad Maharaj, the life of Prahlad Maharaj, how and he was put through such an adverse conditions. And we also had elaborated how devotees are Mahatmas. To give you an essence of that discussion was, Prahlad Maharaj was a 5-year-old boy when he was put through so much trials and tribulations. I hope all of you know Prahlad Maharaj. 5 साल का लड़का था, उसके पिता का नाम हिरण्यकाशिपु, जो इस संसार के राजा थे, but he was an asuric, a demonic person. He proclaimed that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he proclaimed, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vishnu was his, without a doubt, a enemy. So when he had a son, Prahlad, whom Hiranyakashipu loved the most, when he got to know that Prahlad Maharaj worships Krishna, Prahlad Maharaj worships Vishnu, he sings his glories, he's doing Hari Kirtan, Sankirtan like that, Hiranyakashipu, long story short, became very upset. We just read in the 12th verse, what happens to the people who consider themselves to be God? They become bewildered and they develop atheistic use of life and also demoniac nature. जो एक पिता अपने बच्चे को इतना प्रेम करता था, आज वही पिता अपने बच्चे को कड़ी सी कड़ी सजा और मृत्यु की सजा देना चाहता है. Not मृत्यु की सजा just to give him some, kill him peacefully. He throws him in a pit of a hole of snake where you have so many snakes lying. जब प्रहलाद महाराज को तब भी कुछ नहीं होता तो हाथी को उनके ऊपर छोड़ा जाता है ताकि हाथी अपने पैरों से कुचल के मार सके. Or else when Prahlad was not killed that way, he was thrown from the mountain down the valley. Still when Prahlad could not be killed, then Hiranyakashipu had a sister by the name of Holika. She sat along with Prahlad on a burning fire. Like that, different attempts were made by the father. Against whom? Against his son, जिसने कुछ नहीं करा है. उसने कहीं किसी को जाके ये नहीं कहा कि मेरा पिताजी गलत है, वो आसुरिक है, अब उसकी बात ना मानो. प्रहलाद महाराज की गलती क्या थी? सिर्फ वो भगवान की भक्ति करते थे. एंड कृष्ण सेज व्हाट? महात्माना सुमाम पार्था देवीम प्रकृतिम आश्रिता. जो व्यक्ति मेरी वर्शिप करता है, मेरी भक्ति करता है, he is under the internal energy. And a classic example is Prahlad Maharaj. Nothing could happen to him. You see, like stark example, how Hiranyakashipu mentality got so bewildered, and we know how ultimately, Lord Narasimhadev appeared. But why Krishna calls his devotees as Mahatmas? Mahatma, a great personality. When Hiranyakashipu was killed by Narasimhadev, भगवान नरसिम्हा प्रहलाद को अपने पास बुलाते हैं, कहते हैं, हे प्रहलाद, 5 साल का बच्चा है, उसके संग इतना बुरा व्यवहार हुआ है. आज के तारीख में it would be a noted case of child abuse. Like what not all happened with Prahlad Maharaj. And then when Lord Narasimhadev asked Prahlad, please ask for a benediction. सबसे पहली चीज प्रहलाद महाराज कहते हैं, हे भगवान, मैं आपकी भक्ति किसी लेन देन की भावना से नहीं करता. मैंने भक्ति, आपकी वर्शिप, आपके प्रति प्रेम इसलिए नहीं करा ताकि आप मेरी कोई इच्छा पूर्ण कर सकें. Narasimhadev said, my dear Prahlad, but still ask something. I will be very pleased if you ask for a benediction. For the pleasure of the Lord, Prahlad asked. You know what Prahlad asked? My dear Lord, my father had lived a very sinful life. He would never call his father as father. He would say, the best of the kings, or the best of the demoniac kings, because he didn't identify it on the bodily platform. So he said, my dear Lord, the best of the demonic kings, the Hiranyakashipu, have performed many sinful activities. My request is, kindly forgive him of his offenses. कृपा करके आप उसको उसके पापों के लिए माफ कर दें और आप उनको मोक्ष दे दें, deliver him. So I guess the devotees deserve to be called as Mahatmas. That's what Krishna is saying. उसी context में हरिदास ठाकुर की भी story हमने discuss करी थी. I mean, I'll not go into the details of it, otherwise subject would start. That's a discussion and subject matter of it in this regard. And I was also discussed the life of King Kulashekar in the context of activities of the devotees. So, coming forward to the 15th verse, from where we need to begin our discussion for today. And in this verse, Krishna says, द डाइवर्सिटी हमने जो बताई थी ना, उस डाइवर्सिटी का वर्णन भगवान श्री कृष्ण इस श्लोक के अंदर करते हैं। एकत्वेना पृथक्त्वेना बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम, जिसका मतलब एकत्वेना इन वननेस, जो व्यक्ति अपने आप को भगवान मानता है। पृथक्त्वेना, so there are other categories of humans who believe that the Supreme Lord manifests in different manifestations in the form of demigods. And they consider demigods to be worthy of that same worship which should be given to the Supreme Lord. And they consider all demigods to be on the same level as Vishnu. ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश सब एक समान है। मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ, भगवान कह रहे हैं। हाँ, बुरा मत मारिएगा, हे आपने हमारे शिव के प्रति ऐसा क्यों कहा? भगवान कह रहे हैं, this is called पृथक्त्वेना. They consider this is not correct. And then there is another category, बहुधा विश्वतो मुखा, which is said to be a third category or the lowest category in terms of faith and knowledge, where these humans cannot recognize or cannot understand the concept of Supreme Lord, and they believe the universe, this cosmic creation itself, is a Supreme Lord. So they would worship trees, they would worship mountains, they would worship birds, animals. And that for them represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not wrong, it is correct, but that is not a complete knowledge. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada, while speaking on this particular subject matter, I guess I've written that, Prabhupada made two very nice points. I'll just read out. The very first point Prabhupada said, these three are nothing but different methods of approaching the Supreme Lord. वही चीज भगवान श्री कृष्ण यहाँ पे भी कहते हैं, ये जो अलग अलग तरीके हैं, ये कुछ नहीं बल्कि इनडायरेक्ट तरीका है मेरे तक आने का. But it is still better than as compared to those people who live an atheistic life, who Prabhupada calls that they live like animals. These people are still better. At least they have some faith in demigods. At least they take shelter of somebody. And second, very interesting point Prabhupada mentions, ये जो तीन प्रकार की categories हैं, generally this is what is practiced by, called as impersonalist. Impersonalist category वो होती है spirituality के मार्ग में, उनको कहा जाता है जो भगवान के स्वरूप में विश्वास नहीं करते, जो भगवान के विग्रह में विश्वास नहीं करते, उनको impersonalist कहा जाता है. However, devotees are said to be personalist. They never follow any of those things. And the second claim, the practitioners of these faith, they say that, I guess I have it written, yatamat tatapat, which means you follow whatever path. Result is same. कोई बात नहीं, जो करना है करो, जैसे हिलाना है, जैसे बजाना है, जो करना है सब करो. Result is same. However, Krishna says no. Here in this chapter, Krishna says categorically that I am the one who gives the result. And I give the result based on that person's motivation. Even if you approach someone else, that person is dependent on me. And I only award the gifts or the awards to that person. So it is not that you can do anything, you will reach to the same destination. This is a very common misunderstanding in current generation or for a long time, कि आप कुछ भी करिए भगवान प्रसन्न हो जाएंगे. श्रीमद् भागवतम में एक कथा आती है, सार में बताऊंगा वरना बड़ा हो जाएगा वो, जहाँ पे एक ब्राह्मण का वर्णन आता है जिनका नाम था जड़ भारत. So एक दिन जड़ भारत was like a great devotee of the Lord who always used to be in trance, in meditation, while walking, while sleeping. He was a very, very advanced devotee of the Lord. He was, although in the human body, but he was entirely aloof of the human existence. Such was his level of advancement. He was wandering through the forest one evening, and in that forest there were some dacoits, कुछ बदमाश थे जो काली के उपासक थे, काली माँ काली की पूजा करते थे. और लोगों ने कुछ प्रतिज्ञा या कुछ वाव लिया होगा कि काली की प्रसन्नता के लिए हम ह्यूमन सेक्रीफाइस करेंगे. अब ह्यूमन सेक्रीफाइस के लिए जो उनका पांडा था, पंडित था, उसने कुछ इंडिकेशंस बताए थे कि जो मनुष्य आप पकड़ो उसके ऐसे ऐसे स्वरूप होना चाहिए, ये लक्षण होने चाहिए. जड़ भारत उसके लिए परफेक्ट मैच था. तो जब इन डेकॉइट्स ने देखा उस जड़ भारत को, दे वेंट एंड किडनैप्ड हिम. I mean, that was the most easiest kidnapping. When they came to kidnap Jad Bharat, he didn't say anything. He said, "Chalo, kahan chal raha hai?" Because he was completely aloof for the human existence. He peacefully went. So that was not a kidnapping. He agreed by himself. So he went to the place. जब ह्यूमन सेक्रीफाइस करना था तो उसके लिए एक प्रकार का शुद्धिकरण होता है जो उनके पंडितों ने समझाया था. उसको निलाया, खिलाया, पिलाया, सब कुछ करके फिर then they brought him onto the place where he had to be sacrificed. All through this, Jad Bharat is completely aloof. Totally aloof. He has nothing, no response, no reaction. There's no human emotions to talk about. He's completely in constant meditation to the Lord. And यहाँ पे चोरों का राजा, सरदार, बादशाह, क्या कहते हैं, कहते हैं ना कुछ, सरदार या बादशाह, डकैतों का बादशाह, वो बहुत बड़ा तलवार लेकर आता है, उसका सेक्रीफाइस, उसका गला काटने के लिए जड़ भारत का. एंड जस्ट बिहाइंड वेयर जड़ भारत इज सिटिंग, adjacent to Jad Bharat, was a big deity of Mother Kali. And he comes and he takes his sword and is about to slice off or chop off the head of Jad Bharat. उसी बीच में मदर काली का जो विग्रह होता है, it cracks open. बहुत जोर के आवाज आती है और विग्रह टूट के चूर चूर हो जाता है. उसमें से साक्षात निकलती हैं माँ काली. Now काली का विग्रह देखा है? She looks so peaceful, isn't it? Imagine when she's angry. Already in Vigraha, only her eyes are bloodshot. She has a garland of skeleton and whatnot, have multiple hands with multiple weapons and so forth. And her tongue, the most beautiful part of her is a beautiful tongue, just coming out of the mouth, which represents that she's eager to kill the demons and suck their blood. That's the idea. And with that ferocious form, she comes out and she jumps from the altar. One by one, she chops off the head of every single dacoit there. Jad Bharat, kuch fark nahi. He's in constant meditation. He's not affected at all. माँ काली फिनिश करती है अपना बिजनेस एंड हुंकार मार के she disappears. And जड़ भारत देखता है, अच्छा अभी तो कुछ मेरी सेवा ही नहीं है यहाँ पे. He gets up and walks away. Okay, why did I tell the story? The idea of the story ahead in one of the verses Krishna will talk about. The followers of this Prataktuvena, those who consider that the Lord manifests himself in different demigods and all are same, their method of worship is Krishna says as avidhi purvakam. Vidhi purvakam एक शब्द होता है, दूसरा शब्द होता है avidhi purvakam. Vidhi purvakam का मतलब होता है विधि, rules and regulation. Purvakam means governed by defined rules and regulations. जब हम नारायण की पूजा करते हैं उसको विधि पूर्वकम के अनुसार ही करते हैं, तभी फल मिलता है. पर जनरली लोग जब देवी देवताओं की पूजा की बात आती है, किसी ने शास्त्र का अध्ययन तो करा नहीं है, हम अपने समाज के अनुसार जिस हिसाब से जो होता है उस हिसाब से करते आते हैं. तो कृष्णा सेज दैट इज कॉल्ड अविधि पूर्वकम एंड दैट व्हाट हैपेंड विद काली वर्शिप. सो उस डिस्कशन का जब पढ़ेंगे तो उसमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट लेसन ये आता है कि ये जो डेकॉइट्स थे, they were so foolish and they were so caught up by the idea of material success because they did that worship to get some benediction from Kali. They became so crazy that they thought the goddess Kali would be happy by human sacrifice. That is called as avidhi purvakam. अपने अनुसार मन गणत हम कुछ रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस बनाते हैं, ऐसा करते हैं तो उसका परिणाम भी वैसा ही मिलता है. तो इसलिए भगवान श्री कृष्ण उस सेक्शन के जरिए यही बता रहे हैं, अगर हम नियम अनुसार कुछ करते हैं, अकाम सर्व कामो वा मोक्ष कामा उधारिधि तीव्रेन भक्ति योगेना. ये श्रीमद् भागवत में श्लोक आता है जहाँ सुखदेव गोस्वामी कहते हैं अकाम सर्व कामो वा. अकामा आपके अंदर कोई इच्छा नहीं है, सर्व कामा आपके अंदर सारी दुनिया भर की इच्छाएं हैं, और मोक्ष कामा या आपके अंदर मोक्ष की इच्छा हो, कोई भी इच्छा हो, हमें किसको अप्रोच करना चाहिए? सुखदेव गोस्वामी इज टेलिंग Krishna, we should always in all condition should always approach the supreme personality of Godhead. So we'll take a look at this. Krishna is a supreme object of worship. So from verse number 16 to 19 or 20, Krishna will speak about those who worship the universal form. Bhavato mukha, bahuda vishvato mukha, how they see me in everything in the nature. And very interesting section. So please go to your books now. I don't have anything on the slide now. Text number 16 onwards. Let's read the translation.
It is I who am the ritual. I am the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering.
Very interesting. There are, I would say, category of spiritualists. Their whole practice of spirituality is centered around fire sacrifice, yajna. Krishna says, I am that yajna. The very first line of the Prabhupada mentions, the Vedic sacrifice known as Jyotishtama is also Krishna. He's also the Mahayagna mentioned in the Smriti. So you might have come across people who really strongly believe not in the on the form of the Lord, but in fire sacrifice. Krishna says, I am that ritual. You're worshipping no one but me, only indirectly because you don't recognize that it is I who you're supposed to worship. Okay. Next verse. Next is very nice. We'll recite. Pitaham asya jagato Mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram omkara Riksamaya jurevacha. Here this verse talks about relationships with Krishna in one sense. Let's read the translation.
I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandson. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the stable home. I am also the reed, the psalm, and the
Okay, let's do it in brainstorming. Krishna says, Pita aham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha. I am the father, I am the mother, I am the great grandfather, and so forth. I am everything for you. How can you say or prove that it is fact? Every relationship that we have in this world is actually centered around Krishna. If Krishna wouldn't have to be there, you wouldn't have a husband, wife, daughter, son, mother, father, nothing. Any attempts? How Krishna is the Mata, Krishna is the Pita, he's Pitamaha, he's the grandfather, he's everything. Go ahead.
Created material energy, no? And we came from material energy.
He created material energy. Who we? The body came. You didn't came from material energy.
So part and parcel of Krishna.
So that is not material energy. The body that you're residing in right now is different than who you are. You are part of spiritual energy, or in other words, what we call it as the marginal energy, which Krishna defines as superior energy. I don't want to get too much technical terms, but the body that you reside in is a gift of the Lord's material energy. You may say, no, I am the gift to the world by my parents. My parents brought me, so I'm a gift to the humankind, and the all glories goes to my parents. Well, your parents are gift of whom? My parents are gift to this world by my grandparents. All right. Your grandparents are gift of whom? My grandparents are the gift of my great grandfathers. Keep going back. Finally, who? Who brought anyone in this creation? Who is that? Very simple logic. And even you all know that. I mean, of course, our parents love us, but they didn't have an idea, any clue that you and I would be born like what we are born. Agreed or not? Neither you had any idea that you would be born in this and that form. Agreed? We just crash landed. And because when we are born, our mother loves us, father loves us, too much celebration happens and so forth. Ultimately, who is the cause for it? Krishna says, I am that cause. Otherwise, what else is the answer? I am that supreme cause for it. So there are certain, maybe we can read first few lines of the purport. Nice.
Is there any particular reason that Atharva Veda is not included?
Yeah. Rig, Sama, Yajurveda, this discussion will come ahead also. They all talk about some specific things. Atharveda is, I don't have an idea right now why Krishna has not mentioned, but it speaks of a different subject matter. Each of them has a specific subject to cover too. So maybe that's the reason Krishna is addressing here on that context. Why not Atharv? I'll have to look at it. Please read the first few lines of the purport. You have a book with yourself? Can we get one copy of Bhagavad Gita from the library? Somebody please read out the purport, first few lines.
The entire cosmic manifestations, moving and non-moving, are manifested by different activities of Krishna's energy. In the material existence, we create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. Under the creation of Prakriti, some of them appear as our father, mother, grandfather, creator, etc. But actually, they are parts and parcel of Krishna.
So you're getting that idea of relationship which Krishna is speaking about. In case if you're able to hear that inconceivable sound manifesting from somewhere in the room. Okay, continue.
As such, these living entities who appear to be our father, mother, etc., are nothing but Krishna. In this verse, the word
Dhata.
Dhata means creator. Not only are our father and mother parts and parcel of Krishna, but the creator, grandmother, and grandfather, etc., are also Krishna. Actually, any living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna.
All right, let's go to text number 18. Translation.
I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seat.
So if you read the last few lines of the purport, Prabhupada very nicely talks about how Krishna is our most beloved friend. You see at the end of the paragraph of the purport, Krishna is a supreme living entity. You find it? Can you please read out loudly?
Krishna is a supreme living entity, and since Krishna is the source of our generation, or the Supreme Father, no one can be better friend than Krishna. Nor can anyone be a better well-wisher. Krishna is the original source of creation and the ultimate rest after annihilation. Krishna is therefore the eternal cause of all causes.
So in essence, again, discussion is about how Krishna is perceived indirectly through the universal creation, and that discussion is happening. We're coming to a conclusion of this discussion, and that's where the important part comes. Text number 19 translation. O Arjuna, I give heat, I withhold and send forth the rain. The rain happens because I give a direction for it. I am the immortality, and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Essence is again that I am the cause of all causes. Fine enough. Purport is very important. You read it as a homework. We'll come to another discussion here. Verse number 20. Very interesting. There is a very important word used in the verse here, which is loved by many people. Somebody called me up once. He said, I recently read chapter 9. I said, congratulations. I said, what was the most important thing you learned or liked in chapter 9? He said, the most important thing, if you see the first line, there is a special word, Soma Pa, Soma drink. I said, the best thing that I understood from Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, Krishna says, you are allowed to drink Soma, juice. And some translators translate Soma juice to alcohol. So he said, what I learned from chapter 9, Krishna says, drinking alcohol, not a wrong thing. Huh? If you drink alcohol, you can still come back to me. But what happens, the problem that when we read from what we want to read. He read only Soma Pa, but he didn't read after that, Put Papa. So there Srila Prabhupada talks what is Puta Papa. Krishna said the difference, or the meaning of this Soma drink, which some translators unfortunately translate to alcoholic drink. This verse talks about extraterrestrial life in a modern language. In other words, this verse talks about demigods, heavenly planets. And the idea is you can go to heavenly planets when you perform or when you get the visa. Like you have to go to America, you have to go for visa interview. Even if you're going for a tourist visa, there are certain documents required. Not that anyone wants can get a visa. Agreed? If you've ever gone outside a visa office, you see some people coming out in a great mood of celebration. And you see people coming out crying out. You understand what has happened with them. So not everyone gets access, whichever place you go. Similarly, to go to heavenly planets, the required qualification is that you should be totally purified of all your sinful activities. And there, on the moon planet, there is a drink. Srimad Bhagavatam talks about it. On the moon planet, there is a drink called as soma juice, which is served. By drinking that, it is called a beverage of that planet. Like beverage for India, maybe Pepsi, Coca-Cola. So beverage for that planet is soma juice, which is not an intoxicant. Rather, when you drink that drink, you become purified if any traces of sinful reactions. Excuse me. By drinking this soma juice, you become purified. So Prabhupada says in one of the class that there are some foolish translators who translate the soma juice to be alcohol. कौन सा अल्कोहल पीने के बाद इंसान पुण्य का काम करता है? अल्कोहल पी के क्या भगवान उस व्यक्ति के मन में ये श्रद्धा आती है कि भगवान के जहाँ मंदिर में जाके घंटी बजाऊं? कहीं और घंटी बजाता है वो. Yes or no? Person after drinking alcohol he performs sinful activities, and that is the difference here. Let's read the translation. Those who study the Vedas, translation please.
Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights.
So, like अभी ऋग, यजुर and सामवेद का डिस्कशन हुआ था, तो वेदास में 3 प्रोमिनेंट सब्जेक्ट मैटर आते हैं: कर्मकांड, उपासना कांड एंड ज्ञान कांड. यहाँ पे लिखा है कि those who study the Vedas, the idea of studying the Vedas, those who know these 3 Vedas, they are called Trivedi. मिले ना आप त्रिवेदी से? चतुर्वेदी, द्विवेदी or Dvivedi something. Huh? Dvivedi or Dvivedi, whatever it is. Traditionally, Trivedi was a designation given to somebody who knew 3 Vedas. Now, locally, you find many Chaturvedis. But that's not a designation. That is just no offense to anyone. Right? If anyone is Chaturvedi here, I'm just saying now Chaturvedi, Dvivedi, or Trivedi has become a kind of surname. That is what not originally. It was based on designation. So somebody is called a Trivedi if he knows the Karma Kanda section, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda section. Karma Kanda section, the idea of the section is to perform certain ritualistic activities where you do some offerings and sacrifices for the demigods, and you get to fulfill your material desires. For that, you don't get sinful reactions. Upasana Kanda talks exclusively about how to worship demigods. अलग-अलग व्रत होते हैं, देवी का व्रत होता है, अलग-अलग this thing, that's Upasana Kanda. And Jnana Kanda refers to philosophical inquiries and philosophical study of this kind of subject matter. So the idea of persons who are studying Vedas in that sense is just to get purified and attain a higher destination. Just like in IT office, somebody works very hard to get a promotion to heavenly planets. America. So idea is that's an idea because for that person, that's a heavenly planet. Similarly, those who are knowledgeable in the subject matter, when they want to go and have a far better sense gratification, Krishna says they do all this thing so that they can go to heavenly planets. However, it is not that if you go to heavenly planets, seems a pretty good proposal, huh? But Krishna in the very next verse says, but because you have acquired certain merits on the basis of which you have gone to heavenly planets, but when those merits expire, you come back to earthly planet. Translation of next verse number 21. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the result of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the 3 Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. And these 2 verses are addressed specifically to the worshippers of demigods. Because the idea of worship primarily is that I have such and such request, kindly fulfill this request of mine. Many times I stay in the temple. So I'm in the temple hall sometimes. We get to see very interesting things. One person came, he went and did his prayers and all that. Generally, the culture is when you make a prayer, you take out some money and put some money into the hundi. It's called an application fee. so that Lord can attend to your application. Some are pretty smart. So one fellow who in front of my eyes, I saw him dropping a 5 rupee coin in the hundi. Then he came and met me, he wanted to ask something. I said, okay, you look like very sincerely praying, very good, what else, and so forth. I mean, I was trying to just ask, what was he praying? He said, what were you praying? He said, बहुत समय से मेरा अमेरिका का वीज़ा रुका हुआ है, मैं भगवान से प्रार्थना करने आया था कि अमेरिका वीज़ा सैंक्शन हो जाए. मैंने कहा 5 रुपए से मतलब कुछ तो भगवान की कदर करो भाई. तुम 5 रुपए का सिक्का डाल के you want to get American visa sanction. That is true much about it. Anyways, the idea is that's a culture that you go to the house of the Lord, you always make a prayer and you drop some, as a dakshina, as an offering. My dear Lord, all belongs to you. We may not be knowledgeable about all things, so we may act at our level. Nonetheless, the idea generally for people is, my dear Lord, I have this requirement, please fulfill. And if you fulfill, you're so great. And that is what this karma kanda demigod worship is talking about. Now the question arises, where we are on verse number 21. Sometimes the devotees of the Lord are criticized by people who enjoy their life. जैसे क्या सीधा साधा जीवन जीते हो, सिर्फ खाने में चपाती खाते हो, चपाती खा के भी जीवन जिया जाता है. हमें देखो कितने ऐश से जीवन जीते हैं, क्या क्या एक्सपेंसिव खाना नहीं खाते, कितना एंजॉय करते हैं लाइफ, क्या भक्ति शक्ति करने में लगे हो, कुछ लाइफ में एंजॉयमेंट नहीं है. सो उस बेचारे भक्त अगर उसके मन में निराशा हो कि मैं कितना सरल जीवन जी रहा हूं, कितनी तपस्या कर रहा हूं, तो भगवान उसके लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण श्लोक लिखते हैं. If not anything, but at least you learn this shloka, it will always give you faith in Krishna. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana parupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam Yogashemam Vahamiham. Translation, please.
But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have.
Very interesting. Srila Prabhupada once was giving a class on this particular verse, and he said, look at us. At that point of time, it was around 74, 75. We had 105 temples all over the world. And Prabhupada said to his devotees, look at us. We have 105 temples all over the world. And every temple we have 100 to 200 devotees staying. Which means we have 10,000 people staying with us. And to every one of them, we are feeding 3 times full plate prasadam. And none of us work. None of us work. How are we sustaining? And then Prabhupada said, Krishna is providing. If you have faith, Krishna will protect you and provide you. And Prabhupada was quoting, look at us. We don't only feed this 10,000 young men and ladies who are staying with us and practicing bhakti. We do food for life. But none of us own a business. It was back in those days. Prabhupada's idea, Prabhupada was speaking in this context, look at us. If you have faith, Krishna will protect you, will provide for you. So there was an acharya by the name of Arjuna Acharya long ago. He was writing a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And he came to this particular verse. Yoga Shemam Vahami Aham. Vahami शब्द आता है वाहन से. वाहन मतलब, to carry something. Vahami Aham का मतलब है Krishna saying, I personally carry what you lack. And Arjuna Acharya thought, अरे भगवान को क्या आवश्यकता है इस चीज की? इतने सारे लोग हैं, इतनी सारी भगवान की शक्तियां हैं. They can provide for a devotee. Why Lord has to personally get involved? And he striked off this word Vahami, and he wrote Karoti Aham, means I provide for my devotees through my energies. After doing this, he went out. He was a very poor Brahmin. A little background about him, very poor Brahmin. And every day he'll go out for doing madhukari. He went out for doing madhukari, means to beg for alms. He went out. And as soon as he went out, 2 young boys came and knocked on the door of Arjuna Acharya. very beautiful looking young boys. One had a dark, rainy cloud complexion, dark bluish complexion, and one had just like you had a pure milk color, white color complexion. And they both were carrying, some groceries. पहले वो होता था दो लोग कंधे पे लेके चलते थे, तो ऐसे ही ये दो लड़के अपने कंधे पे बहुत सारा ग्रोसरी लेकर आए थे. सो अर्जुनाचार्य की पत्नी ने जब दरवाजा खोला तो उससे पूछा, भी कौन हो आप, क्या करने आए हो? दोज टू बॉयज सेड, हे माता, आपके पति देव अर्जुनाचार्य ने आपके लिए ग्रोसरी भेजी है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल शी वाज शॉक्ड. अरे हम तो मधुकारी करते हैं, इतना सारा नया ग्रोसरी कहाँ से आएगा? देन दोज बॉयज सेड, माता आप सोचिए मत, इसको जल्दी एक्सेप्ट कर लीजिए, क्योंकि अगर अर्जुनाचार्य आ गए, उन्होंने हमें देखा यहाँ पे, तो हमसे फिर वो क्रोधित होंगे. Then the wife asked, why should he be upset with you? And the boy said, mother, we were playing in the forest. And अर्जुनाचार्य वहां से जा रहे थे, उन्होंने हमें देखा और हमें बुलाया, और हमारे कंधों पे जबरदस्ती ये बोझा डाल दिया. और जब हमने मना करा कि हम ये नहीं लेके जाएंगे, तो उनके हाथ में स्टिक थी, उससे लेकर हम दोनों की पिटाई की. And wife was shocked. Arjunacharya, he never spoke harshly. How can he do so? So the boy who was standing in front, who had a dark complexion, he said, don't you believe me? Look at my back. And when he showed his back had red marks, beating marks of a cane wood. And the boy was shocked. He said, how can he torture you like this? He said, no, you both are not going anywhere. आप लोग यहीं बैठो, मैं आप लोगों के लिए भी खाना बनाती हूँ. Mother went inside to prepare. In the meantime, both the boys disappeared. After some time, Arjunacharya घूमते घामते पहुंचे वहां पर. When he reached home, when he entered the house, wife was very upset. आप ऐसा कैसे कर सकते हो? And she said, how can you be so cruel? He said, what happened? He said, तुमने इतनी सारी ग्रोसरी भेजी, वो भी दो छोटे बच्चों के कंधे पे. Now Arjunacharya had no clue, because he had never sent a grocery. I mean, भीख मांगने जाओ तो तुम्हें कोई महीने का राशन देता है, एक सूखी वूखी रोटी देता है. तो Arjunacharya said, how can anyone give me so much grocery? I never did that. So wife was surprised. So Arjunacharya asked, can you tell me who those two boys were? Then the wife of Arjunacharya gave the description, how the boys looked like. And when Arjunacharya heard the description, he started to cry. He said, oh, what a fallen soul, what a useless Brahman and Pandit I am. जीवन भर मैंने शास्त्र का अध्ययन करा, और भगवान का दर्शन मुझे नहीं हुआ, तुम्हें भगवान का दर्शन हो गया. And then the wife said, oh, they were Supreme Lord. Why they had red marks on their back? And then suddenly Arjunacharya had a thought, oh, आज सुबह ही जब मैं भिक्षा मांगने गया था, उससे पहले ही मैंने भगवद गीता के एक श्लोक के एक शब्द को लाल इंक से काटा था. And when he went inside, he saw that word which was marked with the red ink was not there anymore. It was rewritten as Vahamiham. Then Arjunacharya understood, actually this is the magnanimous, this is the great kindness and compassion of my dear Lord. What he is saying is correct. He personally comes and takes care of his devotees. But how does another verse, next verse, follow verse is very important. That's not the follow verse that will come ahead. And that is what the Lord is giving assurance. Don't worry, don't get discouraged if you see people enjoying their life. You may be living a simple life, doing devotional service, but I'm always there protecting you. Then next verse comes, what happens to those who worship other demigods? What happens with them? Text number 23. The two verses to this section will conclude with that. Very interesting. ये अपि अन्य देवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः ते अपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्ति अविधिपूर्वकम्. अविधिपूर्वकम् मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग में उसके बारे में बताया था. प्लीज रीड द ट्रांसलेशन.
Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way.
And Prabhupada gives three analogies here. If you look at the third line, Prabhupada says, for example, Prabhupada is talking about people who are engaged in the worship of demigods. He says, for example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulated principles. You nourish the plant not by watering the leaves or the branches, by watering the roots. Then in the next line, Prabhupada gives another example, analogy. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. And we already had a drama. Title was Importance of Cooperation, talking about that subject matter. And the third analogy Prabhupada gives, the demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. In other words, Prabhupada is talking about the universal hierarchy. Just like every country has a prime minister, and the prime minister, through the powers given into that position, he has the rest of the government officials working under him. So he may not be the finance minister of the country, but yet finance minister is accountable to the prime minister. That's the idea. A human resource minister or the foreign minister. Like that, Prabhupada is giving a hierarchy. This is the relationship. Remember, the subject matter of this discussion is the inconceivable relationship between the Supreme Lord, the living entities, and the material nature. We already discussed about the relationship between the Lord and material nature in the previous discussion about the creation. And now the discussion is going about the relationship between living entities and the Supreme Lord. And the final verse in this section comes, what happens to those who are worshipping these personalities? What happens to them? Text number 24. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natumam abhijanati tatvinata chavanti te. Krishna says, Aham hi sarva yajnana. Aham refers to I. Sarva yajnana means all sacrifices. Bhokta means enjoyer. I am the only enjoyer of all the sacrifices and penances we perform. Those who do not recognize it, they become bewildered. That's the idea of it. And the last verse in the discussion of about Prathaktvena, which means those who consider the Supreme Lord manifesting in the different forms of demigods, what kind of destination they attain. Very interesting verse. Yanti deva vrata deva pitrayanti pitravrataha bhutani yanti bhutechya yanti madhyajinopi ma. Translation, please.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods.
Yanti means to go. Deva vrata. Vrata means to worship. Who? Deva. They go to the place of Devan. Pitra yanti go. Those who worship Vrataha Pitra. Those who worship their forefather, they go to the planets of Pitra. And the interesting is, those who worship Bhutas, they get to live with the Bhutas. And Yanti Mad Yajinupimam, and those who worship me, they come to me. They're very nice purport. Let's read the purport. Purport talks about this Bhutas. Who are those people who go to Bhutas? Let's read the purport. Somebody?
One has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet. One can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose, such as the process technically known as Darsha Purnamas. These are vividly described in fruitive activities portion of the Vedas.
Prabhupada in his lectures often used to quote, even there are still many practitioners of black arts. You know the story of Putna, right? A witch who can fly. Prabhupada said, well, somebody once asked when Prabhupada was discussing about the story, Prabhupada, does such personalities exist today? And Prabhupada, yeah, they exist. There are many such witches still live in Kerala and Rajasthan. Those who have that sense of black magic. I mean, I don't want to go in much details with that subject matter, but that's a fact. There's still many practitioners of the science of black magic where they have 8 stages of growth. And the ultimate goal of them is to attain mystic powers. and that they have that passion, that need of controlling others. So every single stage they have to perform very severe, abominable activities, just like living at cremation ground, eating in the skull of a dead body, and many things that come. That's a part of the ritual that is called tantric shastras, and there's still many practitioners of it. At least if you go to places in North India, primarily Haridwar and other places, you still find many such tantrics and yogis, not yogis, tantrics, performing this kind of penances near the cremation ground. And they have all the things. So Prabhupada is saying such kind of people who perform this, they're the one who goes to the land of bhutas. And there is this, beyond this earthly planet and between the heavenly planets, there is a land of yakshas and pishashas. They are more superior than the humans. That's what the scriptures talk about. And conclusion of the discussion, similarly, those who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they get to go eternally live with the Lord in Vaikuntha, either in the place of Lord Ram's Ayodhya, or you go and live with whichever form of Vishnu one is attracted to, or else if you're attracted to Krishna and we worship Krishna, we get to participate in Lord Shri Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. And the process is very simple. It begins with chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I'll conclude with this story, a real story of a man who went to the abode of Yamloka and then again came back in the same body. This incident began in 1934. He was a young Bengali boy of the age of 14 years. 14 साल का लड़का था. उस समय शिला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर was giving a pandal program. And in that pandal program, in those days, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when the program will end, he would personally give beads, chanting beads to everyone who would like to accept those chanting beads. And anyone can take commitment for any number of rounds, but minimum was 4 rounds. If you say you're going to chant minimum 4 rounds, then you can go and take beads from the hands of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So there was this Bengali boy who was part of that festival, Pandal program. He also took a vow that I'll chant 4 rounds. He went and took up beads from the hands of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You see him up on the altar here. On the extreme right is Srila Prabhupada, and next to Srila Prabhupada is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. I believe 1937 was the time when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati left this world. The boy, 14-year-old boy, grew up. However, after some time, because Bhakti Siddhanta was no more, he forgot about his spiritual practice. Till the time Bhakti Siddhanta was there, present on earth, he chanted 4 rounds every single day for 3 years. Slowly, he grew up, he got married, and he forgot everything. And as a matter of nature, if you're not aware of what is right and wrong, by default, we perform so many sinful activities. And that's what happened with this gentleman. He performed many sinful activities. And finally, when he grew up of almost 80 to 85 years of his age, he got a heart attack. He was hospitalized and he died. He was taken to the abode of Yamraj. Now he gives a whole description. Now how he gives a description, how I am telling you the story is, he comes back to the same body and he tells what happened to me. He said, when I died, I saw these 3 ferociously looking creatures who scriptures define as Yamdutas. They came to take me. Now the number of Yamdutas comes to take you is dependent on the degree of your sin. If you're really sinful, you'll have a cricket team waiting for you. If you are okay sinful, you still deserve a Yamloka. So you may be handled by 1 or 3 anyways. Jokes apart. So 3 people came and took him to Yamloka. There is a text called Garud Puran, which I believe all of you are aware of it. And if you have ever attended those 13 जो 13 दिन का होता है उस समय, तो आप सब ने जरूर सोते हुए जागते हुए कुछ तो गरुड़ पुराण सुना है, क्योंकि हर पंडित आके गरुड़ पुराण गा के जाता है. वो गा के जाता है पर आपको समझ नहीं आता वो गा रहा है, रो रहा है, क्या कर रहा है, क्योंकि संस्कृत में बोल के आता है, कुछ समझ नहीं आता है. They come and they sing, they have this, it has become more like a ritual. And family members sit thinking that that will bring some peace to the departed. That's the idea has become at the bottom, which is good activity nonetheless. So everyone have heard Garud Puran here and there, but the Garud Puran, if you read it, is the best horror movie. Trust me. Don't read it in the night. You're gonna get nightmares. I'm serious about it now, because I've said you not to read. I'm pretty sure you're gonna go and buy it today evening only on Amazon. What we generally say no is the thing which we get too inspired for. रात को पढ़ने कोई मना करे ना, रात को ही पढ़ूंगा मैं, देखता हूँ क्या होगा. Trust me, don't mess around with your life unnecessarily. That gives a very vivid, graphic description of what happens with the soul, sinful living entities, when he's been dragged to Yamraj's abode, Yamloka, and so forth. I'm not going to go in details right now. So he's brought to the abode of Yamraj, very horrible and terrible place, and he sees somebody, a very effulgent personality, sitting upon a crown, big place, big seat. Then he's standing in a queue, and there's a decision making happening right on the spot about every living entity. Just like, goats are lined up for sacrifice, one, like that. Like that, he was lined up. Then his turn came. And then Yamraj, that person was Yamraj, he indicated towards his assistant, Chitragupt, भाई क्या इसका क्या है, हिस्ट्री क्या है इस व्यक्ति की, इसको क्या करना है. So Chitragupt narrates his whole history. And this person hears his whole history. And then Chitragupt says, my dear master, although he has lived purely a sinful life, however, he did one thing good in his life. Yamraj said, what? He said he accepted the beads from a pure devotee of the Lord by the name of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And for 3 years, he chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Immediately in front of him, Yamraj said, oh, if that is the case, then we cannot do anything with him. He is beyond our jurisdiction. And in front of his eyes, Yamrajji does some meditation, and in front of this man, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appears in front of Yamraj. And then Yamrajji talks to Bhakti. This man is telling. This is a published case study. And this man, Bhakti Siddhanta, although this boy is not able to recognize because he was very young, and Bhakti Siddhanta recognizes and agrees to Yamraj that yes, I had at least accepted him as a student in that sense. I had, agreed for that sense, relationship. And Bhakti Siddhanta tells him, Yamraj is not going to punish you. We are sending you back. You're given another chance. When you go back, this case happened in Calcutta, where we had a Gaudiya Mutt. At that point of time, this is somewhere around mid of 80s or 90s, if I'm correct. There was a sannyasi, disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhakti Siddhanta tells this man, go back. You're going back. As soon as you wake up, immediately go to Gaudiya Mutt and ask for this sannyasi and go and take diksha from him. And now you begin practicing your spiritual life. Story ends here, and suddenly he wakes up when he was already declared dead. As soon as he wakes up, all the family members were informed that he has come back to life. There is a great sense of joy and so forth. He is not willing to talk to anyone. You have seen such a terrible thing. He's full horrified. He said, I don't know what was the name of the sannyasi. I don't remember. Let's say some Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj, for example. He said, I want to meet Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj. Our family members had nothing to do with Gaudiya Mutt or ISKCON. They have no clue what he's talking about. He said, there is Gaudiya Mutt at such a such place, which he has never went. There is a sannyasi who lived there. I have to go and meet him. The family members figured out through some context, is there a place called Gaudiya Mutt? Is there some sannyasi live? They found out, yes, there is a sannyasi. Immediately he was put into a vehicle. He was driven to that place. Gaudiya Mutt is like ISKCON, a temple. He was driven to that place. He was brought to the attention or to the audience of that sannyasi. And when he came in front of the sannyasi, what I just narrated you all is what he narrated to the sannyasi. And he said, my dear sir, my dear Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ordered me to take diksha from you. You know what sannyasi said? He said, last night, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur came to my dream. And he told me tomorrow such and such person will come to you, accept him as your disciple. And that is the story. And he became a disciple of the sannyasi and he continued. This is story comes in the annual magazine of Gaudiya Math publication. I don't know where that person is, but the idea, wherever, these are not some fiction or fictitious story. This is another real life incident. So any amount of bhakti we do, let's Krishna says in text number 49 of chapter 2, Neha vikramo nashyosti pratyavayo navidyate swa alpamasya dharmasya trayate mahatavyad. If you have rendered even a very insignificant devotional service, that devotional service can protect you from the greatest dangers. And that is what Krishna is saying as a loving mother and loving father. My dear son, I am only providing everything for you. I am not asking anything from you. Just acknowledge I exist. Don't deny my existence. And to build our relationship is very easy. Chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which we can chant at any time, any place. There is no rules and regulations for it. So easy and simple the process has been made to revive our relationship with the Lord. Maybe it is easy. That's the reason we find it difficult to follow. Prabhupada said it is easy for easy and it is difficult for complicated people. So here we'll conclude this discussion. Next, Krishna will speak about, I have given you all the options. You want to follow Ekatvena, where you consider yourself to be God, Prathakvena, where you consider everyone as God, or you consider this universal creation to be God, or you want to worship Bhutas. Choice is yours. Or you want to worship me. Krishna says, if you worship me, he talks about the glories. What are the advantages? How simple and sublime. Krishna says the concluding verse of this chapter is Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madayaji Ma Namaskar. What you have to do? Bhakti is to remember. That's what we do when a boy or a girl falls in love with each other. They constantly remember each other. Krishna said we need to cultivate that remembrance. You and I may not be able to do it at this stage of life. Just like yesterday after the discussion, many people asked this question, how do we connect everything that we do with Krishna? I said, very simple. First, begin to acknowledge Krishna is there. Second, anything that you do it by taking permission from Krishna. My dear Lord, kindly allow me to do this. That initially begins to develop a relationship where you recognize Krishna exists and everything that I'm doing under the guidance of Krishna, not the sinful activities. My dear Lord, thoda karke aun kya? And you say, bhai, मैं permission लेकर आया था, गलत क्या है? Of course not, that's not the idea. Patra pushpam phalam toyam. Within that limits, rules and regulations, the idea is. Just like I said to many of those who had asked this question yesterday, you go to sleep. Your sleeping becomes a devotional service. Even sleeping, an act of ignorance. How it becomes a devotional service? Krishna doesn't take an item. Krishna takes your motivation, intention behind it. Offer a prayer to the Lord. My dear Lord, thank you so much for giving me another day to serve you. Another day to contribute in the lives of others and to contribute in my life. Because I have this vehicle, physical body, which needs certain rest. Kindly allow me to take some rest so that tomorrow when I wake up, I utilize this human form of my life or human form of life in your service. It's bhakti. Your sleep becomes bhakti. When you get up in the morning, the first thing that we should do is offer a prayer, a gratitude. My dear Lord, remember, many people go to sleep, but they don't wake up. How much grateful should we be that we wake up? It is not your and my credit that we wake up. So get up. When you get up in the mornings, offer a prayer of gratitude. My dear Lord, thank you for giving me another day in my life. Kindly allow me, give me the strength and courage to perform my responsibilities. I'm a householder, I'm a student, I'm so and so. Allow me to perform my responsibilities. Kindly take it as an offering of devotion from my side. And begin your day. You go to office, before leaving for office, offer a prayer to the Lord. My dear Lord, I'm going to battlefield of Kurukshetra. I have 8 hours of performance there. Kindly give me the strength that I do my war in the battlefield, truthfully and with my allegiance to you, and I come back victorious. And when you come back victorious, might I not thank you for giving me one more day of survival in this world? Is that difficult? आपको कौन सा बड़ा पूजा पाठ करना है? And that is what Krishna says in this chapter. Man mana bhadvakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. And that's how this is so simple and easy is to practice bhakti. Thank you all for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.